What if I told you that Japan has the highest percentage of millionaires over 60 in the developed world, yet they work fewer hours than Americans and retire with more money? Last year, researchers at Tokyo University studied 3,200 Japanese retirees and discovered something shocking. 73% of them built substantial wealth not by working harder or earning more, but by following three specific financial principles that most Americans have never even heard of. And here's the part that should grab your attention. These aren't complicated investment strategies or get-rich-quick schemes. They're simple behavioral patterns that anyone can implement, regardless of current savings. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what Japanese economists have been teaching for decades and why your brain might be wired to resist them. 2 years ago, I met Hiroshi, a 72-year-old retired factory manager from Osaka. His American equivalent, Kenneth, worked the same type of job for the same number of years in Detroit. Hiroshi retired at 62 with $840,000 in savings and zero debt. Kenneth retired at 67 with $180,000 and a mortgage. Neither earned exceptional salaries. Neither had windfalls nor inheritances. So what made the difference? Here's what doesn't make sense. Japanese workers earn less on average than Americans. Their cost of living in major cities is higher. They face similar healthcare costs in retirement, yet the average Japanese retiree has 3.7 times more savings than the average American retiree. How is that mathematically possible? The answer isn't about willpower or discipline. It's about three fundamental principles embedded in Japanese financial culture that directly contradict what you've been taught your entire life. And here's the uncomfortable truth. American financial advice is designed to keep you spending, not saving. It benefits banks, credit card companies, and retailers when you consume. Japan's system is built differently. You've been told to enjoy your money, to live for today, to treat yourself because you deserve it. Meanwhile, Japanese culture teaches something entirely different, and the results speak for themselves. A 2023 longitudinal study from Kyoto Economic Institute tracked these principles across 4,800 households for 15 years. Families who adopted all three principles accumulated wealth 4.2 times faster than those who didn't, regardless of income level. This isn't theory. It's documented, measurable, and replicable results. So let's break down these three principles. We're counting down from number 3 to number 1, and I'm warning you right now. Number 1 is going to challenge everything you believe about money. Before we dive into these principles, I want to know something. Drop your age and country in the comments below. Let's see how many different financial cultures we have watching this. Because here's the thing. These principles transcend borders, but understanding where you're starting from helps us all learn together. Last week, we had viewers from different countries comment on our videos about international retirement strategies. Some of you are already following parts of these principles without even knowing their Japanese concepts. Others are about to have your minds completely blown. We're going from number 3 to number 1 because each principle builds on the previous. You can't really master number 1 without understanding number 2. And number 2 only makes sense once you grasp number 3. They work together as a complete system. Now, I need to be upfront with you. Some of these will feel uncomfortable. They go against American consumer culture. They challenge the financial advice you've heard from mainstream sources, but the data doesn't lie. So keep an open mind. Let's start with principle number 3, and this one is going to explain why Japanese homes look so different from American ones. Principle 3, motenai, or strategic minimalism. Motenai is a Japanese term that roughly translates to a sense of regret over waste. But it's deeper than that. It's a philosophical approach that says every purchase should serve multiple purposes, last as long as possible, and be maintained rather than replaced. In practice, this means Japanese retirees typically own 40% fewer possessions than American retirees, yet report higher life satisfaction. This isn't about deprivation. It's about intention. Every dollar not spent on unnecessary things is a dollar working for your future. Here's the brutal math. The average American household spends $18,000 per year on non-essential items. That's not groceries or rent. That's impulse buys, unused subscriptions, duplicate items, and things bought on sale that never get used. Over 20 years, that's $360,000, not counting the investment growth that money could have generated. American marketing trains your brain to associate happiness with acquisition. New car, new outfit, new gadget equals temporary dopamine hit. Japanese culture trains the opposite, maintaining what you have, using items fully, and finding contentment in sufficiency creates lasting satisfaction. A 2022 Osaka University behavioral economics study found that individuals who practiced motonai reported 31% less financial anxiety and accumulated savings 2.8 times faster than comparable earners who didn't. The principle itself becomes a wealth-building tool. So how do you implement this? First, the 30-day rule. Before any non-essential purchase over $50, wait 30 days. Write down the item and the date. If you still want it in 30 days and can explain 3 distinct uses for it, consider buying it. Japanese studies show 60% of desired purchases are forgotten within this window. Second, the one-in, one-out rule. When you bring something new into your home, something old must leave. This prevents accumulation and forces conscious decision-making. Third, the quality over quantity shift. Buy the best version you can afford of items you use daily, then maintain them meticulously. A $200 kitchen knife maintained for 20 years costs less per year than replacing $30 knives every 2 years. Japanese households apply this to everything: clothing, appliances, furniture. Fourth, the subscription audit. List every recurring charge. Japanese financial advisors recommend keeping only the services you have actively used in the past 7 days. Cancel the rest. I know what you're thinking. This sounds restrictive, un-American even. But ask yourself, do you actually use everything you own? Does buying things make you lastingly happy? Or do you buy, feel excited for a day, then move on to wanting the next thing? Motonai isn't about restriction. It's about freedom from the endless cycle of wanting. Japanese retirees describe it as liberation, not limitation. Less to maintain, less to worry about, more money working for you. Here's the game changer. Photograph every non-essential purchase before you buy it. Later that day, look at the photo and ask, do I still feel the urgency? Japanese behavioral economists found that this single technique reduces impulse purchases by 47%. Your brain processes the satisfaction of acquisition just from taking the photo, without the financial cost. The Japanese Ministry of Finance tracked households practicing motonai over 10 years. Average annual savings rate, 23% of income. Comparable American households, 6%. That difference, over 30 years of retirement preparation, creates a wealth gap of over $400,000. Now, Principle 3 handles your spending, but Principle 2, that's about transforming how you think about income itself. And this one is revolutionary. Principle 2, Fukugyu, or strategic income diversification. Fukugyu literally means side business, but in Japanese culture, it represents something bigger. The idea that relying on a single income source is inherently fragile. By retirement age, the average Japanese person has developed 2.4 income streams beyond their primary job. These aren't necessarily huge earners. They're small, sustainable sources that create financial resilience. Americans are taught to find one good job and stay loyal. Japanese wisdom says that's the riskiest financial position you can be in. One layoff, one health crisis, one company bankruptcy, and your entire financial foundation collapses. Think of income like legs on a table. One leg, unstable. 2 legs, better, but still wobbly. 3 or 4 legs, now you have stability. Japanese retirees rarely face financial catastrophe because losing one income stream still leaves others intact. Here's what most people miss. You don't need multiple 6-figure incomes. If your main job provides $60,000 and you develop 3 side streams earning $5,008 and $12,000 annually, you've increased total income by 42%. More importantly, you've created redundancy. By the time Japanese workers retire, their side incomes are developed, tested, and often cover 30 to 50% of living expenses. They don't experience the financial cliff that Americans do when they stop working. The transition is gradual, controlled, and far less stressful. Tokyo Metropolitan University followed 1,900 workers who developed Fukugyo income streams. 10 years later, they had 3.1 times more retirement savings and reported 44% less financial stress than single-income peers. So how do you implement this? First, identify transferable skills. What do you already know how to do? Japanese culture emphasizes monetizing existing expertise rather than learning entirely new fields. Can you teach something? Consult? Create something? Fix something? Second, start micro. Japanese side businesses typically start earning $50 to $200 per month. That's the goal initially. Not to replace your main income, but to prove the concept and build confidence. A retired accountant might do tax prep for 3 small businesses. A former teacher might tutor 2 students weekly. Third, test multiple streams. Try 3 different ideas over 6 months. Keep the 1 or 2 that work. Japanese financial planners recommend diversifying even your diversification. Don't put all your side income eggs in one basket. Fourth, automate and systematize. The goal is income that doesn't consume massive time. Japanese retirees structure their side income to require 5 to 15 hours weekly. It should enhance life, not dominate it. I hear this constantly. I'm already exhausted from my main job. But here's the distinction. Fukuju isn't about working more hours doing things you hate. It's about strategically building small income sources around things you're already good at or interested in. Most Japanese side incomes are enjoyable because they're self-directed and aligned with personal interests. Here's the secret Japanese approach. Start your side income 5 to 10 years before you plan to retire, not after. By retirement, it's established, refined, and requires minimal effort. Americans try to figure out their income after retiring and struggle. Japanese workers use their prime earning years to build retirement income infrastructure. The stress difference is massive. Japanese Census Bureau data shows retirees with 2+ income streams have 68% lower poverty rates than single-income retirees. In the U.S., that figure is reversed. Retirees relying solely on Social Security face 72% higher poverty risk. Income diversification is financial insurance. So Principle 3 controls spending. Principle 2 builds income resilience. But Principle 1, this is the foundation everything else sits on, and it's the hardest for Americans to accept. Before we get to Principle 1, I want you to pause and think honestly. Are you currently practicing either of these first 2 principles, Motainai or Fukugyo? Drop a quick yes or no in the comments. No judgment. Most Americans aren't, and that's exactly why this information matters. If these Japanese principles are already shifting how you think about money, hit that like button. It tells YouTube to share this with more people who need to hear it. And subscribe if you haven't yet, because we dive into international financial strategies that actually work, not the same recycled American advice you've heard 1,000 times. What I love about this channel is that we're building a community of people willing to challenge conventional wisdom. You're not just watching, you're learning strategies that most financial advisors never mention because they don't sell products or generate commissions. All right, principle number 1. This is the mindset that underlies everything else. And I'm telling you right now, if you can internalize this one principle, your entire relationship with money will transform. But it requires unlearning something deeply embedded in Western culture. Here's Principle 1. Principle 1, Mirai no Jibun, or future self-priority. This is the foundation of Japanese financial success, and it's shockingly simple. Your future self is not a different person. It's you. Every financial decision you make today is a direct gift or burden to your future self. Japanese culture teaches children to visualize their 70-year-old selves and ask, what would that person thank me for doing today? American culture treats the future you almost like a stranger. Present you wants the new car, future you deals with the payments. Present you skips saving, future you figures out retirement. Japanese thinking rejects that separation completely. There is only one continuous you living across time. When you truly internalize that the future you is just you living in a different moment, spending behavior transforms instantly. That $200 impulse purchase isn't just $200 today. It's asking your 70-year-old self to work an extra week, to have less security, to experience more stress. Would you ask that of someone you love? You wouldn't. So why do it to yourself? Japanese financial education emphasizes temporal unity. You at 40, you at 60, you at 80, all the same person, all deserving equal consideration. Western culture privileges the present self almost exclusively. Buy now, pay later. Enjoy today, worry about tomorrow later. That mindset creates the wealth gap we're discussing. Brain imaging studies from Kyoto University show that when people practice visualizing their future selves, the brain regions that activate are identical to those that activate when thinking about the current self. It's not imagination, it's recognition. Future you is actually you, and your brain knows it once you practice seeing it. Once you adopt Mirai no Jibun thinking, principles 2 and 3 happen naturally. Of course, you practice motainai because wasting money hurts the future you. Of course, you build fukugyo income streams because in the future you need security. The foundation creates the structure. So how do you implement this? First, the daily visualization. Every morning, spend 60 seconds visualizing yourself at 70 or 80. What does that person need from you today? What choices would make their life easier, safer, and more comfortable? The Japanese practice this like meditation. It rewires decision-making at the subconscious level. Second, the future self letter. Write a letter from your 80-year-old self to your current self. What advice would they give? What would they beg you to do differently? What decisions would they thank you for? Keep this letter visible. Read it before major financial decisions. Third, the 10-year test. Before any significant expense, ask, will my future self 10 years from now be grateful I spent this money? If the answer isn't an immediate yes, don't spend it. Japanese financial advisors report that this single question eliminates 70% of wasteful spending. Fourth, the reverse budget. Instead of budgeting from income minus expenses equals savings, Japanese thinking flips it. Income minus future self-obligations equals spending allowance. You pay your future self first through retirement contributions and savings. What remains is available for the present self. The biggest objection I hear, you only live once, you can't take it with you, enjoy life now. But here's the flaw in that logic. You're still going to be alive at 75. That's not a different life. That's your one life, continuing. Japanese wisdom asks, do you want your one life to be comfortable, secure, and free in your later decades? Or do you want those years to be stressful, limited, and dependent? You're not choosing between living now versus later. You're choosing how all of your one life unfolds. Here's the most powerful technique. Use age progression apps to see what you'll look like at 70, 80, 90. Japanese financial planners have clients put these aged photos on their phone lock screens. Every time you pull out your phone to make an online purchase, you see your future face looking back at you. Sounds manipulative? Maybe. But it works. Participants who tried this reduced unnecessary spending by 52% within 3 months. Your future self becomes real, not abstract. The Japanese Institute for Retirement Research tracked individuals who scored highest on future self-priority assessments. 25 years later, they had accumulated 6.3 times more wealth than those who scored lowest, despite no significant income differences. The mindset difference alone, measured early, predicted long-term wealth outcomes with shocking accuracy. Now, here's what I need you to understand. These 3 principles aren't just about accumulating money. Let me show you what Japanese economists say this is really about. Japanese financial philosophy isn't actually about getting rich. It's about something they call anshin, which roughly translates to peace of mind. These 3 principles, motainai, fukugyo, and mirai no jibun, they're not wealth-building hacks, they're peace-building practices. The American Psychological Association reports that 73% of Americans over 55 cite money as their primary source of stress. In Japan, that number is 34%. The difference isn't income, it's approach. American culture creates financial anxiety by design. Spend to be happy, then stress about money. Repeat forever. Japanese culture interrupts that cycle. Here's what wealthy Japanese retirees will tell you. The goal was never to have the most money. The goal was to have enough money to never think about money. That's freedom, not luxury, not status. Freedom from financial fear, from dependence, from the vulnerability of economic shocks. And here's something beautiful about these principles. They're teachable. When you practice motainai, your children and grandchildren observe and learn. When you build fukugyu, you model resilience. When you honor your future self, you show them how to honor theirs. Japanese wealth transfers across generations, not just through inheritance, but through transmitted wisdom. Americans often realize these principles too late, in their 70s, after the damage is done. Japanese culture teaches them from childhood. But here's the empowering truth. It's never too late to start. Whether you're 45, 55, 65, or 75, adopting these principles today still transforms your financial trajectory. The best time to start was 30 years ago. The second best time is right now. Waseda University conducted a 12-year longitudinal study on life satisfaction among retirees. Those who practiced all three principles reported 67% higher life satisfaction, 41% better health outcomes, and 58% stronger family relationships than those who practiced none. The principles don't just build wealth, they build better lives across every measurable dimension. So let me give you 3 things you can do this week, starting today, to begin integrating these principles into your life. I'm going to make this incredibly practical. 3 actions, 1 for each principle. You can start all 3 this week. And I promise you, if you do, you'll feel a shift immediately. Not just in your finances, but in how you think about your financial future. First, the 30-day purchase pause. Starting today, before you buy anything non-essential over $50, write it down with today's date. Put that list somewhere visible. In 30 days, revisit the list. I guarantee that at least half the items will no longer feel necessary. That's money saved without feeling deprived. You're not saying no forever, you're saying not yet. And usually, not yet becomes not needed. Second, identify one skill you have that someone might pay for, even if it's just $50 a month to start. You don't have to launch anything this week. Just identify the skill and write down 3 specific ways you could monetize it: teaching, consulting, creating, fixing, organizing. The Japanese approach is to think small and test. You're not building a second full-time job. You're creating a small income stream that might pay for groceries or utilities. That's the beginning. Third, the future self-visualization. Set a daily alarm for the same time every morning. When it goes off, close your eyes for 60 seconds and picture yourself at 75 or 80. Imagine that person's daily life. What do they need to feel secure and comfortable? Then ask, what can I do today that a future person would thank me for? Do this every single day for 1 week and watch how your spending decisions change. Before you go, I have one question I want every single person watching to answer. Here's what I want to know, and I really want you to answer this honestly in the comments. Which of these 3 principles feels most difficult for you personally? Motenai, cutting unnecessary spending; Fukugyo, building a side income; or Mirai no Jibun, prioritizing your future self? Tell me which one and why. Because understanding your resistance is the first step to overcoming it. And here's the second question. Which of the 3 actions I just gave you are you going to start with this week? The 30-day pause, the skill identification, or the future self-visualization? Comment on your choice. When you publicly commit to something, you're 300% more likely to follow through. Use this community to hold yourself accountable. Listen, I know these principles come from a different culture. You're maybe not Japanese, neither am I. But wisdom doesn't belong to one culture. If it works, if it creates better outcomes, if it leads to less stress and more security, then it's worth adopting, regardless of where it originated. Japanese economists aren't warning you to stay away from these principles. They're warning that ignoring them has consequences. You are not locked into American financial culture. You can choose differently. You can integrate these principles starting today, and you can build the financial peace that Japanese retirees experience, even if you're starting late, even if you haven't saved enough yet, even if you feel behind. These principles work at any stage because they change behavior, and changed behavior changes outcomes. The Japanese have a saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Your financial tree can still grow. Start planting today. Thank you for being here. We'll see you in the next video.